I spent $30,000 learning how to empty a man's bank account. Legally. Not steal. Not con. Nothing a court could ever touch. I paid for a curriculum. I did the homework. And by the time you're watching this, a man I'll call Daniel thought he'd found the one good woman left in the world. Names and a few details here are changed, but this is based on a real case. And the part that should keep you up at night isn't the woman. Stay with me. Here's who Daniel thought I was. 28. Soft-spoken. I wore white sundresses, the kind that make a man think of the word pure without knowing why. On our first date, I told him, straight to his face, that I didn't believe in prenups. I said I'd seen too many women treat marriage like a business deal, and I just wanted something real. Then I reached for the check and insisted we split it. He nearly cried. Later, he told his friends I was the woman who restored his faith in people. He never learned the oldest rule there is. Whatever comes to you free is the thing that ends up costing the most. Because I wasn't a good woman who got lost. I was a graduate. Top of my class, actually, in a paid program that markets itself as high-value feminine coaching. Live calls. A private group with a few hundred women in it. A coach who was very careful to never, ever say the word fraud. In that program, a man like Daniel has a name. A software engineer. Mid-career, a little money saved, emotionally starved, almost no dating experience. They call that a long-term meal ticket. And for a target like that, the amateur move, demand an expensive ring, push for a house on date 3, that's beneath us. That only wakes up his guard. The advanced play goes the other way. Total selflessness. You give and give until he feels like he owes you. So I ordered the cheap entrees. I knitted him a scarf by hand that cost me maybe $15 in yarn, and he held it like it was made of gold. I turned down the nice restaurants. And when he proposed, he did the math on his own. He offered to add my name to the deed of the house he owned outright. He moved the savings, a little over $100,000, into a joint account so we'd be, in his words, a real team. I never asked for the ring. I never asked for $1. I asked for his name on paper. His whole life, community property, all of it, handed to me with a smile. See the difference? A greedy woman takes the ring. A professional takes the estate. Let me be honest about the job, because that's what it was. A job, 24 hours a day. Daniel wasn't funny. He wasn't interesting. In bed he was, let's say, forgettable. Every time he wrapped his arms around me thinking it was love, I felt nothing. Some nights, less than nothing. But I had a work ethic. I laid out his clothes in the morning. I handed him a warm drink when he got home stressed. I sat through his boring science fiction movies and I called it overtime. A woman in the group once asked me, "Don't you get lonely, performing for a man you can't stand?" I told her the truth. The day the transfer's clear, the day I file my resignation from this marriage, I walk away with a house and a nest egg in the rest of my life. That was the plan. And I want to tell you exactly where it broke. 2 weeks before the finish line, Daniel decided to clean out a drawer. Old electronics, chargers, cables, the junk everyone keeps. And an old phone, my old phone, one I'd handed down to him without a second thought 2 years earlier. I was slicing fruit in the kitchen when it hit me. That phone still had my notes app. Tens of thousands of words. My coursework. Every step of the plan to reel him in. And screenshots, actual screenshots of me and my coach working out how to get my name on the deed by framing it. And I'm quoting myself here, as building his sense of security. I walked into that room and he was just holding the phone, staring at it. And here's where I made my mistake. He looked up, and he smiled. This dopey, tired little smile, and he said, "This thing's ancient. It's not worth selling. I'll just toss it back in the drawer. You look pale, honey. You okay?" I said, "Low blood sugar." I smiled back. That night, while he slept, I went through the drawer. The phone was there. Nothing looked touched, right back where he'd said he'd leave it. And I thought, he's too simple. He turned it on, saw nothing, gave up. Men like him don't dig. For 2 weeks, nothing changed. He went to work. His paycheck landed. He looked at me across the pillow with the same helpless adoration. And I relaxed. The prey, I told myself, never wakes up. So I moved to the last step. I put my chin in my hands, used my softest voice, and I said, Honey, my dad's birthday is coming up. Let's pull some money from the account and get him a car. We're one family now. Your money's my money, right? His hand paused on his fork. Just for a second. Then he smiled, warm, indulgent, completely in love, and he said, "Of course, whatever you want. We'll go to the bank first thing tomorrow." I nearly laughed with joy. I could already see the divorce, the money, the freedom. The next morning I did my makeup. I took his arm. We got in the car, and the car didn't turn toward the bank. It turned toward a law office. When he walked me into that cold little conference room, a lawyer in a gray suit stood up and dropped a thick folder on the table in front of me. I looked down, page after page, my notes, my playbook, my screenshots with the coach, and in the corner of every single page, a notary stamp, time-stamped, certified, 14 days ago. Daniel sat across from me, and the adoration was gone. What was left was cold enough to stop my breathing. He said, "You thought you hid it well. You thought I ate your cooking and held you at night because I'm stupid. For 2 weeks I watched you perform. Every sweet thing you said to me, I wanted to be sick. I did what the program taught me." I cried. I said those were old notes from before I knew better, that I really did love him now. He didn't blink. "Love," he said. "Love is spending my savings on a car for your father. Love is plotting with your group about how to walk away clean." He slid a divorce petition across the table. The house. I'd never see a square foot of it. The joint account, already frozen by court order. Every dollar, back where it came from. I went home to my parents. They wouldn't open the door. Said I'd humiliated the family. My friends from the group laughed behind my back. All that scheming, and a quiet, boring man threw me out with nothing. 2 years learning to disguise myself. A year hunting. I thought I was the predator. Now here's the part I need you to actually hear. Because if this were just a story about a scammer getting what she deserved, I wouldn't have made it. The person who should scare you is not me. Look again at what happened. There was a curriculum, a coach, a few hundred women in a private group cheering each other on. This wasn't one broken woman doing something monstrous. This was a product. Something with a price tag, a payment plan, testimonials. We turned being loved into a technical skill, a repeatable process. Input the soft voice, the cheap scarf, the no prenup speech. Output a deed, an account, a life. And that process is being sold, right now, to thousands of people who are told it's just empowerment. Sit with that. I lost. Fine. But the class I paid for is still running. The next graduate is already on her first date, ordering the cheap entree, reaching for the check, telling some tired, decent man that she doesn't believe in prenups. He'll cry a little. He'll think he found the one good one left. And the oldest rule will still be true. The thing that comes to you free is the one that costs you everything.